In July 2011, our family was able to have an amazing adventure in Africa. We'd like to take you to see some of God's special people and places that we experienced. Our first destination was the country of Niger, pronounced Niger, on the south side of the Sahara Desert. The capital city of Niamey is located on the Niger River and is home to about 750,000 people. We arrived in the rainy season, so the temperatures were only in the high 90s and low hundreds.
We stayed with Tim and Brenda Chosvold and their son Joseph. Tim oversees the strategic work in Niger, which is supported by the Canadian Alliance. They do not openly preach the gospel there, but they help with development in areas like health, sanitation, agriculture, and education. This amazing dust storm welcomed us, followed by a heavy, warm rain. Daily life in Niger is full of hard labor and quite different from our society. The people are dedicated Muslims, some of them sincerely seeking God but missing His Son.
We met some interesting creatures during our visit. This one turned to follow us over a bridge through traffic. Everywhere we saw sheep, goats, and garbage. And this tree is what Uncle Tim calls the national bird of Niger, the black plastic bag. Ask us to tell you sometime about the tortoise who loves to play baseball. We got to see God's glory in the things He has made. No trip to Africa would be complete without a safari, so we got to visit giraffes up close and personal.
Traveling in Africa looks a bit different too. There are quite a lot less regulations on things like emissions and seatbelts. On our first day there, we visited the Ramar orphanage where we met some really nice kids. We brought them a suitcase full of gifts from the church, stuffed animals, educational French books, games, and art supplies. They were all very grateful. My dad had the kids playing and laughing, and they got really excited when their team won the games.
We asked the kids to sing for us, and they did, singing and dancing for about half an hour. Lynn also participated as little Benjamin grabbed her by the finger and dragged her into the circle. It became very hard to leave them. Another stop was the Girls at Risk School and Training Center. This video clip tells their story best.
Niger, Africa is rated by the United Nations as one of the world's least developed countries. Over 60% of the population lives below the poverty line, with poor nutrition, low-quality education, and marginal health care. The most vulnerable are girls who have been displaced from their traditional nomadic way of life. Most have no government-issued identification, no status, no rights, no choices. 85% of girls over 15 are illiterate. By age 15, half of all girls are married. The average girl will have 7.9 children. 10% of girls and women die in childbirth. 25% of children die before the age of 5. Girls are frequently married in their early teens, leave school, have children by 15, and continue the cycle of poverty, dependence, and isolation. The Niger Vocational Training School is part of a worldwide movement to empower girls in developing countries through education. At the end of the program, each girl will write a national certification exam and will receive her own sewing machine. Equipped with these skills, girls like Zainabu will have new potential to earn income.
J'aime beaucoup mes projets. Ça me plaît beaucoup. Je peux vendre mes projets pour aider ma famille.
Fatima was unable to attend regular school because of a physical disability. For her, the school represents a second chance at an education and a future.
دخل كنت أريغ مات فرنسي بلا بوديري بلا طول الليل يعني بشرب طول ويتا جندارة طول الليل. Ça me plaît beaucoup.
Both Fatima and her younger sister Aisha recognize that education provides hope for a better life, and that the skills learned at the school can improve the well-being of their whole family today.
With school out for the summer, we saw the small facility, including all their sewing machines. We left another suitcase full of pens, batteries, beads, and other craft supplies that the girls have been using this fall as their programs go on. Thank you so much for all that you gave so that we could bless these girls and their families.
I got to visit the home of Fatima, who was mentioned in the video. This hut of sticks, straw, and rags is home to her family, including 5 other siblings, her lovely mother and baby brother, and some of the cutest kids ever created. Fatima served us the traditional 3 glasses of very powerful tea, and it was great to share in the real culture, right down to the head covering.
For one more dose of Nigerian culture, we'll take you to the village of Tepe, a couple of hours north of Niamey, where the Alliance has been working for 6 years, offering development projects like well reinforcement, health education and mosquito nets for malaria prevention, soil reclamation, and education. This school was recently constructed to replace this old school. We also helped them to grow the miracle moringa plant, which can purify water and provide excellent nutrition.
The women of the village welcomed us and prepared a special meal in our honor. It was really amazing to see how they live in this little dry village. This woman weaves her mats with a black string around her big toe so that her hands are free to tie the rest of them. Their daily meal begins by rubbing the grains off of these stalks of millet and then pounding it, which these 4 ladies have gotten extremely good at. Then the millet is sifted and made into porridge, or it is baked in this bread oven. It may be served here, but those are their beds, which also double as tables.
Before we leave Niger, we want you to meet Lisa, a friend of ours from college who visits the village of Tepe regularly. She shares Bible stories with the men, like Nathan and Adam, who listen and ask her questions about this man named Jesus. One of these men is Moses. Since our return home, Moses has made a decision to follow Christ and has led at least 6 other men to commit themselves as well. These are the first converts in this Fulani village and a huge step in pushing back the darkness. Please pray for these men and their families to become a strong church and continue to reach those around them.
It took us 13 hours to reach our next destination, but we made it to Conakry, the capital city of Guinea. Guinea's climate is the exact opposite of the dry deserts of Niger, and there was a bunch of warm African rain. We stayed at the Conakry guest house, which is in the same compound as the field office where Arnie Solvig works. He spoke at our missions conference a few years ago. The guest house is comfortable as long as the fans are running. Unfortunately, we only had city electricity for 6 hours the entire week while we were there, and that is the first electricity they've had in 4 months.
The best part of the guest house was the go-kart that Uncle Phil and Uncle Ernie built. And it wouldn't be Africa without some creepy critters. Thankfully, this was as bad as it got.
We saw more market marvels, including several blocks of their outdoor furniture warehouse, and women and children chasing vehicles selling products from bread to prepaid phone cards. The rainy season brings challenges to some and opportunities to others, like this roadside car wash or this African laundromat. Our hosts in Guinea were Phil and Kristen Stombaugh, good friends from our own Rocky Mountain district. Their delightful daughter Felicity is a senior at Dakar Academy, and this is her 13-year-old brother Trey, for whom we have prayed often. We also met a wonderful woman named Dorcas, a national pastor's wife who is leading a new women's co-op begun by the local Guinean churches. She had just received the key to their new boutique, where women will sell their handmade products, and they already have large contracts to sew school uniforms. They are passionate about doing this with excellence for the glory of God. The co-op, called Kofadev, also hopes to spread to other towns and villages and provide education and training to improve the health and lifestyle of Guinea's women and children, with a particular burden to see young girls freed from the practice of female circumcision. We were thrilled to be able to give these ladies $300 to help set up their new boutique.
Ça, c'est la vision de Copédès. Nous avons ici notre logo ici. Ça nous présente ici une femme qui porte un collier au dos et il y a le soleil qui la tape très fort. Devant elle, il y a une montagne. Donc, nous avons dit que les difficultés des femmes guinéennes semblent être une montagne. Mais avec la Copédès, par la grâce de Dieu, c'est un nouveau soleil qui se lève pour l'épanouissement de la femme guinéenne.
A main focus of our trip was getting to know the Susu believers that the Stombas have gathered together. These few men are now preparing a small building to plant a church. In July, they were still meeting for Sunday services on Stomba's porch. Their worship is sincere and joyful. I was privileged to be able to share God's word with the men the day we were there, and Lynn taught a gospel presentation using the jelly beans. Metra Alia is a leader of the police force and a third-degree black belt in karate, but he has an amazingly warm heart. We asked him to share why he has chosen to follow Christ.
Pour moi, j'ai aimé Jésus-Christ parce que c'est un prophète comme tous les autres prophètes, celui qui est venu pour délivrer le monde de ses péchés. Il a été crucifié par nous, il a été crucifié à cause de nous, et souffert à cause de nous, pour que nos péchés ne soient pas donnés. Donc c'est pour cela que je l'aime et je le suis. Merci.
Merci.
Alassane is the only married member of the group. He is in Conakry for vocational training, but lives a 2-hour drive away. This is the road that leads to his small village. Phil took me to visit Alassane's family on their farm. From this chicken coop, elevated to keep out the snakes, came the main course of an afternoon meal that we were privileged to enjoy together. Here is Alassane's response to our question.
Moi, je m'appelle Alassane Camara. J'ai aimé Jésus-Christ parce qu'il a parlé dans sa parole simple, soit disant que tous les hommes sont pécheurs. Donc Jésus maintenant s'est sacrifié pour enlever le péché, pour enlever les péchés sur des personnes. Donc il a été invité dans ce livre, son bouton, que nul ne va au Père sans traverser à lui. Il est le 13 étoiles de la route pour arriver sur son Père. C'est un truc que moi j'ai aimé. Notre prophète.
We also visited Bungali, the man on the left, in his nearby village. He is seeking, but has not yet surrendered his life to Christ. Since our visit, his young daughter became ill and died suddenly. Bungali gave us a tour through the surrounding jungle and the nearby rice fields. Kerfala is the third member of the group. He goes by the name K14 and says he won't tell the secret of his nickname until he gets married. These guys would really benefit from some Susu women becoming followers of Jesus too. Their situation at times seems fragile. But listen to his commitment.
Bon, Andinara, Muna, Anabita Ramura, parce que Granara, thank you. Grana Tirara, Rakimu, Dari Marijima, parce que Mamam Amato, Ala Mundali, at the time, Nissan Nalaka. Donc, Naku, Nakari Begi, Naki Muntama, I put Mona Bradiana Muna Kui. Mumandu mana kui, do munguru metina mungu mana. Anabi sangira,
The best friend we made in Africa is Antuman Sila. His love and joy in Christ are contagious. He's lots of fun and kind of crazy. He wanted to speak to you in English.
Okay, my name is Ansman. I am a student and a Jesus follower. I like Jesus because Jesus is my savior. He saved my life from Satan, from everything bad in this crazy world. I was worried and he rescued me. And Satan wanted to block me and put me down, track me down, but Jesus rescued me. And that's why I chose Jesus to be my father, my all things in this life.
Ansuman is leading Sunday services these days. And this man, Fode Toure, is also very involved in ministry and serves as their treasurer. It was he who set up an outreach opportunity for us at a local school. Here he is on the right in one of the classrooms where we taught English. He gathered a great group of high school and university students. Ansuman is in the center in red. He wore a different hat every day. I got to be the teacher. I felt pretty rotten on the days we went to the school, but our team would pray for me, and as soon as I got up to teach, it would be gone for the rest of the day. I had a great assistant, and the students all loved him.
The students learned a lot, but their favorite things were playing bingo and Simon Says. My mom shared the Jelly Bean Gospel with them and gave them English books and Bible comic stories, purchased with the funds you helped us raise. In his thank you speech, David on the left said, "We will remember your story of Jesus and continue to learn about him."
The coolest part of our trip was the basketball clinic that we held at the school. The church's donations paid for court renovations, basketballs, and other equipment. And we also shared over $2,000 worth of jerseys and other gear from Adidas and our high school. We ran some drills and practiced every afternoon, and some of the kids really improved a lot. My dad would talk about a principle from the Bible each day, and Phil Stombaugh would translate. For a lot of these kids, it was the first time they had ever heard about Jesus. Although it was the rainy season, the court was dry every day for all the events that we had planned, even our closing tournament when the students competed against one another in teams. Fode set up some loud African music, and the English class led the halftime show.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. On n'a pas rien. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Apparently, there was even a soccer clinic going on in the parking lot. The games ended with the players versus the coaches, who obviously won. And even the older coaches showed that they still had some game.
We're so grateful for the opportunity to bless and be blessed on our trip. Thank you for all of you who prayed and supported us. Please continue to pray for Africa.